Hello guys, and welcome to this new video. But before it starts, I have some things to say. This video will be it will feel very half made, or half baked, and that's because I encountered a lot of problems during the making of it, and it took a lot of time to make as well. The video hasn't turned out nearly as well as I hoped it would become, but I've worked on it for so long that I decided to just in the end, just to finish it how it is instead of remaking it yet again. You will see me try and explain this later on again, and I will probably make another video after this going into detail why it ended up the way it did, but I still wanted to publish it so the entire time didn't go to waste. Anyway, hope you at least semi-enjoyed the video, and see you next time.
As someone who, despite being interested in both old and new consoles, the original Xbox really never crossed my mind of something I needed to have. Like when I think about the 6th generation of consoles, I usually think of how the PS2 dominated the market and how great the GameCube's library of games was, plus that it was my first ever console. And then just how the original Xbox was just kinda there. I don't know, the original Xbox just never interested me in any way. There really was no exclusives that was too appealing to me, mainly because I haven't looked into it, but I really didn't think about that when I wrote the script, so oh well. And all the third-party games that I was interested in, I could always just find on the other two consoles that generation. Plus them having exclusive that I actually care about, especially the Nintendo GameCube. I mean, there were some games I was relatively interested in, such as Crimson Skies or Halo, but other than that, there was nothing, at least that I know of. And that's not to say I thought the original Xbox was a bad console or anything, I just thought it wasn't as good as the competition. You might be wondering why I'm even talking about this, because I got an Xbox for free just like that. Yeah, my stepdad didn't want it, so he just gave it to me, along with a couple of games. And while, as I said before, I was never really interested in it, I still got excited to try it out because it's a new video game console and I like video games. Okay, that's just how I am. Well, I guess I gotta make a video of this now. Let's start with the console itself. As you can see, I have the Crystal Limited Edition model, which was sold in Europe in March 2004 to celebrate the console's 2nd anniversary in the region. A few weeks later, up to summer 2004, the bundle was also sold in Canadian stores. I think it looks decent, although I still prefer the original black model. According to Wikipedia, there are also some other interesting models for the original Xbox, such as this Panzer Dragoon one, both Halo models, a one-of-a-kind Atari edition one that looks actually kinda cool, a Pepsi one, and a Mountain Dew one. Well, I guess Microsoft just foreshadowed the hell out of the MLGs and the 42 places. You only needed it to read this one too, and we were all set. On the front we got the standard stuff, 4 controller ports, a eject button, and a power button. Although for some reason the eject button is much bigger than the power button, which confused the hell out of me at first. Every time I tried to eject the game disc, then I would turn off the entire console and vice versa. What makes this even more confusing is that when you turn on the console, a green light turns around the eject button and not the power button? Just why? On the back it is also pretty standard. Power port, AV out, and a Ethernet port for online play. Yeah, the Xbox may not be the first console with internet as standard, that award goes to the Sega Dreamcast, but it was the first to add so many different features to it, also being obviously better. If you paid a certain fee, you would get access to online and was compatible with multiple games, had voice chat, a friends list, which may seem like standard stuff today, but back in the day that was incredible. Unlike the Dreamcast, the system shipped with broadband instead of dial-up, making the online features much less limiting. If you wanted to play online on any of the consoles of the 6th generation, then the original Xbox was with no doubt the best option. Of course, the servers got taken down in 2010, so you can't play online anymore, sadly. However, it is worth noting that a group of 20 die-hard Xbox players refused to stop playing on Xbox Live for almost a month by simply leaving their console connected to Halo 2. Of course, they eventually gave in because of overheating and net connection problems, but I think this really shows how people hate it when companies shut down online services just so people can buy the new system to get basically the same thing, or sometimes not at all get the same thing. Anyways, we're getting off track. Also, I forgot to mention, yes, that is indeed a mod chip. The Executor 3CE to be exact. Not really sure on how to use it, but hey, it's cool, I guess. You can change the color of the turn-on light, that's cool. But enough about the console, let's talk about the controller. Now, originally the Xbox shipped with a controller named the Duke, which was way too big for most people and so became known as one of the worst controllers of all time because of it. However, in Japan, they instead shipped a smaller controller because Microsoft thought that their hands would be generally smaller, so they made a smaller controller. But then when people kept calling the Duke one of the worst controllers of all time, Microsoft gave in and made the S controller available in all other parts of the world as well in 2002, a year after the console launched. Or the same year, depending on what region of the world you live in. So how is the Xbox controller? Is it any good? Well, the short answer would be more cheaper feeling Xbox 360 controller, but I'm gonna go a bit deeper than that. Should note that I'm going to make comparisons to the Xbox 360 controller since that is what came after the Xbox, and also just because it happens to be the only other Xbox controller I have since I do not own a Xbox One. Yeah. While I did say that the controller feels a lot like a more cheaper Xbox 360 controller, it still feels pretty good, honestly. The D-pad, while bad, isn't nearly as bad as the Xbox 360 ones. The buttons feel about the same, the triggers feel alright too. Holding the controller itself, while I can feel that it's a bit old, it's perfectly fine for me to use. As for negatives, well, there are a couple. While I did say the D-pad wasn't as bad as on the 360, I still would have preferred something else. There's also no shoulder buttons. Instead there are these black and white buttons under the regular buttons, and oh my god, why? These buttons were clearly not meant to be pressed while pressing the regular A, B, X and Y buttons because it does not feel right to do so. Having these two buttons down here instead of having shoulder buttons, it's just dumb. It just makes less buttons available to the player, sort of like the Nintendo 64 controller did, but not as bad, I guess. And I don't think it was a question of it was so old the shoulder buttons was nothing, because the PlayStation 2 controller was doing that, and that was the same generation. And even then, the PlayStation 1, the previous generation, had shoulder buttons. The Nintendo 64 had it. The Sega Saturn had it. So why does this controller not have it? That's all for the console, and overall, not bad. I would still consider this the weaker option in terms of the 6th generation though, but not nearly by as much as when I hadn't played the Xbox yet. In fact, if you don't care too much about the other exclusive games the other consoles offer, then this might be the best option out of the three. Mainly because it's cheaper than the other consoles. Not by much, but in general I've seen the Xbox original console being a bit cheaper than the other ones. But we're not done yet. Before we end this video, let's take a look at some of the games.
Sorry, I'm gonna have to stop you right there, past me. Because I have an announcement to make. And that announcement is, I'm gonna skip this entire part of the video. Yeah. Because I've been working on this video for an entire year. And right now, I've just figured out that there is no good working Xbox original emulators, which I was gonna use to capture footage for this very video. And that's also why you've seen footage of Sonic Generations and Shadow the Hedgehog instead of actual Xbox original games. Shadow the Hedgehog was running on Nintendo GameCube and not the original Xbox. So, yeah. So, you know, I said I'm just gonna skip this entire part of the video instead, because I'm just tired of working on this. Really, really tired. And, well, I could ask other people for footage on the game instead. I mean, I have things in the script that are going to describe what's gonna happen in the video, or sorta, you know, certain events, things. And I haven't found, and most of the games I have are kind of obscure, semi-obscure, and so finding good footage is not easy either. So, yeah, hopefully the rest of the video doesn't get ruined because of this. It's not much left, but still. So, yeah. Let's just continue on. Well, great. I'm done with the script. Now all I have to do is do the voiceovers, and then I can finally start editing this video. Nice. Wait. Why do I hear boss music? Holy shit!
Two steps